Hi, this is Korey Clarke from Warrior Soul, and you're listening to Nothing Shocking Podcast. Keep rocking.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dogbowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers, like our Facebook page, or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, soon to be coming back to Davenport, Iowa. We'd also like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for letting us use their music for our intro. Our guest tonight is
Korey Clarke
of Warrior Soul.
Warrior Soul.
He has a new covers album out. What's it called, Jeff?
Cocaine and Other Good Stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Great covers album.
Yeah, it starts off with Let the Good Times Roll by the Cars.
Yeah, and you know, I am not a huge covers album fan, but this one was pretty rocking.
I am. I collect the covers collections of bands and stuff, so I'm into this.
So anyway, what a great interview. Real personable fella. Talked to him a couple times since the interview, and he's excited for this episode to be out. He gave us two samples.
Yeah, we got the song Intro and the song God's Drugs and the New Republic.
We would like to thank Korey Clarke of Warrior Soul for letting us use his music for our intro and bumper ending.
Yeah, we're excited.
We're totally excited. What a great interview. He's calling us all the way from Greece.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, hey, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to this interview.
All right, good night.
Good night. right, Korey, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce to you my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Korey, it is an honor to talk to you tonight.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be with you guys tonight.
Well, thank you for agreeing to do this at 2:30 in the morning Greek time.
Yeah.
And
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, you know.
well, that's positive thoughts. That means this is going to be a great interview. But I do want to thank you so much for all the correspondence with email and the phone calls we've had. I just want to thank you so much for agreeing to do that.
Well, it's nice when the interviewers and the podcast is, you know, really knows what they're doing. It helps me.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, we are excited to have you on. So let's get right into this. So first question, COVID-19 has handcuffed the industry this past year. How have you dealt with the restrictions in Greece? How has it worked out for you?
Well, I've been handcuffed for a long time. Yeah. But, no, it's just like everywhere else in Europe, I guess. I mean, for a while it was less affected. It's certainly not as bad as what Portugal is going through at the moment, but they've pushed us into more of a lockdown, more serious situation over the next couple of weeks because they have seen a rise, but it's, you know, the numbers are nothing compared to what's going on in the U.S. And, you know, we lost 57 shows last year, so, you know, that hurt the pocketbook a little bit. But, you know, everyone's hurting a little bit. And my paintings have been doing well, fortunately, and we've been selling some records, so that's cool, too.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Jeff.
In 2020, Warrior Soul released Cocaine and Other Good Stuff, a cover album of sorts. The album was recorded throughout various places in Europe and the United States. Can you talk more about the creative and recording process of this album?
Yeah, it was. It started off as you know, doing a Kiss song for Alex Ruffini, a photographer, well-known photographer in the rock world over here, and he passed away, and we were doing something for his cancer foundation, and I think Gene Simmons was involved. I know Alice Cooper was, but they asked me if Warrior Soul wanted to do, contribute a song. So I said, yeah, I'd love to, and never dreaming I'd play a Kiss song. It's not like, a Kiss nut or anything, but whatever. So I think we recorded Firehouse or Cold Gin. Cold Gin. And, and it was just such a cool process because I was working with guitar players and bass players and mix guys all over the place. And we just sent it around MP3s till we got the final versions. And it came out really good. I was using a lot of the guys from Warrior Soul. Actually, just about everybody was from either was on a previous record or had toured with me. And Frank Meyer from Streetwalking Cheetahs and a whole bunch of other projects in L.A., he got involved doing keyboards and background vocals and stuff. So it was really spread out all over the world, really.
How does that?
And it was cool.
Yeah, when you're taking on a task like that, where you're recording this album in various spots. Obviously with today's technology, you can have a musician that's over in LA. You can have another musician that's Dropboxing and emailing it over to somebody in New York. Then for that person in New York is sending it over to you in Greece or if European artists or wherever they're at. Do you kind of at this point in your career, do you embrace the technology with the it's so easy now, or do you kind of miss the old way of everybody just kind of getting together in the studio in an old-fashioned way and hashing things out that way? How does it work for you, or preferential, I guess?
Well, obviously doing a covers album and doing your original music album is going to be a different anyway. But I think I like both ways. It's easier for me to produce and write with guitar players when I'm in the room with them. But, it is possible to get things done by, emailing, Dropboxing. But the day is coming soon enough, I'm sure, where we can just really have a no latency, Zoom kind of thing going on. That would be very helpful for writing and then I never have to be around anybody. I just stay home.
But,
you know what I mean?
We've had many of artists that we've interviewed throughout the years, and they're torn.
Yeah.
I think it was John Bush that said to us, he's like, I do miss being in the studio, but he also referred to the studio with the other bandmates as not being the most productive of sorts. Do you kind of feel the same way, or how do you feel about that?
It's so weird. Every album, every band that I've gone in and done a different record it's always been a pretty different way things have come up. Sometimes people come in with songs already done. Sometimes you just jam. Sometimes it's just one take, and that's like, wow, that's it, And like I did on the last 2 studio records, where I'm not using click or anything, just going in and knocking things out. It gives a different feel, of course, but and then you get the times where you're using click tracks, and just kind of really kind of going through it over and over again, maybe demoing it and then coming in, adding some stuff, and then going in the studio and cutting it. But it's, but listen, anytime I get a halfway decent song, I'm cool. I don't care. I don't care how it goes up, how we do, what the process is.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. I think the album has about 12 songs on it. How many did you actually record to narrow it down to the 12?
Sorry, on the latest...
Yeah, on your covers album, how many songs did you have to record to pick it or select down to 12 songs or 12 tracks?
We just picked out the songs. We didn't leave anything off. And it is 11 songs, I believe. But okay. I'm like, I've always wanted to do that song. Let's do that song. Do you guys want to do that song? Yeah. Or somebody would go, yeah, I don't know, how about doing a Van Halen thing? Okay. I was thinking Mean Streets, but then they came up with DOA. So, everyone had kind of a little thing to it. And, I'm not too tyrannical when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Warrior Soul has been known, Korey Clarke has been known to be an avant-garde style of rock. What was the driving force recording a covers album? Was there something, because a lot of we see a lot of artists that will refuse to do covers at all. Then we see artists like Van Halen that took on a lot of covers. Yeah. But what was your driving force to do a complete covers album?
Economic.
Come on now. You got to do better than that.
And believe me, I am known, that's for sure. I honestly didn't know what to write, because we were still waiting for the election to get done, and everyone was like moaning and groaning about the pandemic, and I was like, am I going to jump on this bandwagon? I certainly have, gone down the political route before. So I thought, you know what? When I heard the Kiss song come back, I said, let's do something like this. Let's make it a little bit more lighthearted. Put it out for Christmas. Who doesn't like cocaine at Christmas? And if you don't, I'm sorry for you. But whatever. And we got such a great response. I was really surprised. But that was really the impetus. I wanted to wait and see what happened after the election, and we're still trying to figure out what the hell's happening after the election. Yeah. So I knew what I was going to be singing about for the direction of the new album.
Oh, very cool. All right, well, let's get on to some other things here besides election talk. Yeah. Let's discuss the Warrior Soul sound. I've always referred to Warrior Soul as being heavy, but not heavy metal. But I've always referred to you guys as being punk, but not punk rock. If you could narrow down your sound, what is it that I'm hearing, and what is it that I'm not hearing when it comes to the Warrior Soul sonically?
Well, I sure am punky. Ask anybody. No, it's the metal thing. Like, I just, it depends on what you define as metal. Like, if you look at there's sort of phases of metal, right? Like, if you go Judas Priest kind of metal, then there's Metallica kind of metal, and then, you know what I mean? There's a difference in that. One's a little more a hard rock kind of thing, and something's a little bit more that, other style of metal. And I think we're more the rock and rolly kind of heavy thing. Like, if you took rock and roll, regular, drunk guy rock and roll stuff, and just, made it really as heavy as you possibly could with some heavy lyrics, that's us, without being metal, singing about dragons and devils and stuff.
Well, it always takes me back to 91.
Planets.
when Drugs God the New Republic was released. I bought it the day it came out. I walked into our neighborhood record store, and they were playing the promo of that album. And I kind of had to stop in my tracks because I really had never heard anything quite like that before, because, like I said, the sound is heavy, but it's definitely not heavy metal. You're definitely punky, but you're not totally punk rock. And I remember talking to the manager, and I said to him, what am I hearing? And I remember the manager of the store goes, I'm not quite sure. Whatever they're doing, I like it a lot. But can you kind of talk more about the creation of Drugs God the New Republic as an entire album? I guess maybe what was your, maybe philosophy of sound at that time of your career?
I just wanted to sound different from everybody. I didn't want to be the guy that's riding in the back seat of the car. I wanted to be driving it,
Yeah.
And I thought I wanted to start a revolution. I wanted to wake everybody's mind up to the fact that, the corporate government was taking their shit, and trying to control everybody. And it just seemed like there was nobody saying that in rock anymore. And that was, some people did it, like Dylan and Hendrix and the Pistols and, the Ramones to a certain degree, Clash certainly, but it just didn't seem like anybody was really doing it. And I thought that was a good niche to have, and that's the kind of guy I am. I was just being as honest as I possibly could. I wrote 6 of those songs myself on guitar, and I don't even know how to play guitar. That's one reason it doesn't sound like anybody. I use all those ringing notes, sustaining through and droning, sort of a droning feel. So it's like a psychedelic droning heaviness,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hence my millions in my mansion.
I always kind of refer to about 1988 to about late 1991, maybe 92, as being a real kind of changing of the guard of rock and heavy metal music and even alternative and punk rock. We think of, obviously Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking album, the Faith No More's I'm losing my mind on this one.
I know, I'm drawing a blank. I own it. I should
the real thing. Faith No More's the real thing.
And those guys, Mike Patton, that was a different sound. And Jane's Addiction, Warrior Soul, we were all neck and neck, It was not like, what kind of music is Jane's Addiction? It's Jane's Addiction. What kind of music is Warrior Soul? It's Warrior Soul. What kind of Faith No More is Faith No More? These are all individualistic bands, and then the production and the attitude and the city, well, also Soundgarden, but the city that you lived in suddenly became extremely important. It's like if I'd have thought, wow, why live in New York or LA? I'm going to move up to Seattle. I'll go up there. That makes absolutely no fucking sense, to be honest. And And, that was the last damn place I wanted to go. But if I had moved, like Alice Cooper moved to Detroit back in the, early 70s to be part of that scene, if I would have been moved there, I think that Warrior Soul would have been the political voice of that Seattle movement.
I absolutely agree. But back to, I guess my question was that with these bands that were getting big record deals, that were putting out these pretty big albums at the time that were totally sonically different than what was going on at the time, the hair metal thing at that time. Did you notice? Did you notice the record companies pushing for stuff that was kind of outside the box to kind of change the state of rock and roll then? Or
I think they were actually becoming fatigued with it as well, and they were looking for something that's more reality based. I think so. I mean, because I could feel it. Obviously, those guys in Seattle felt it. Sub Pop felt it, and we were. You could even see, like with a band like Bang Tango or something like that, where these guys weren't like blondie hair guys, jumping around dressed up like chicks. It was like, these guys were, real deal kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying any of that hair band stuff is bad, but some of it is certainly bad, of course. But, I like listening to a lot of that stuff. The Rat stuff, I think, is pretty fun stuff to listen to now and again. It's a good guilty pleasure. But it was fatiguing. It got to a point when, She's My Cherry Pie came out. I was like, that's fucking it, dude. I'm out. I am so going to kill myself. That's just the fucking end of it. So, it was everybody, I think, was fatigued of that sort of thing because there were so many of those bands.
Jeff, go ahead and take the next one.
Yeah. I guess we'll come back to a little bit more recent. You just had your last studio album in 2019 was Rock and Roll Disease.
Yes. How appropriate.
Yes. Did you get a chance to do very many live shows, but for that album before the pandemic?
Yeah. We just finished a full tour year. I had just flown into Greece. I was just flown into Athens, and we played London rock festivals or whatever. But we did a lot of touring that year, and it was crazy because what was such a drag because I'd invested so much in the band live, so that I had booked all this stuff for last year, like really good tours, festivals. I was going to be working a lot. Yeah. I was like, and it's always great to be working because you put some money away, you can have some fun and get out there. But obviously, couldn't do it. But yeah, we did a lot of touring with both Back on the Lash and Rock and Roll Disease. Those two records.
Yeah.
You brought up touring. And I guess maybe this is more of a generalized question. In the States here, we don't get the amount of festivals that Europe gets throughout Germany and other areas, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
And
it's a different culture, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess maybe that will be how you can kind of answer that question is, culture-wise, as far as the festival, the topic of festival, how do you compare the live festival experience in playing shows in Europe opposed to coming over to the United States? Do you get a chance to play any festivals in the United States, or is it pretty much strictly European?
Well, I don't have any management that's connected to Clear Channel, so probably not. But I do get to play a lot of festivals in Europe. I haven't played a festival in a while, not any major festival in the U.S. in a long time. But, the difference is there's not that big a difference really at that level. You're going to get the same amount of catering and attention as you would get in Europe. And so when you go down, when you're down slugging it out in the clubs, is where you feel the difference. In Europe, they take care of you a lot more. In the States, it's like walk through the kitchen. You're lucky. If there's water backstage. I mean, unless you really kick up, and say, look, I'm not doing anything unless you got hookers. Who's got time to go, wherever Costco to buy 5 bottles of Jack Daniels? Give me a break, come on. I think the difference is a little more of a family feeling in a lot of Europe. That feeling still exists in certain places in the States as well. Don't get me wrong, but I just think for the most part, it's just a little bit more. Yeah, who cares? You're just a rock band. Go on, do your shit. Go home.
Well, we had this discussion, I believe, a few years ago with Tony Carey of Planet P Project, and I believe he lives over in Germany somewhere. And he was explaining things to us as far as a touring format type thing is that, you can go all over the place in Germany and then right across the border to whatever country, and then you're playing shows over in another country, opposed to when you're touring over in the United States, it's sometimes a 6 to 10 hour drive from location to location. Yeah. He felt like the transportation wise was more reasonable, as not as far as intensive hours on the road. Is that kind of your sentiments as well as staying over in the European part of things? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of times in the U.S. you could end up with 16 hours on, you just like, Bob Seger, walking into crappy restaurants, and, freezing your bottles off. But, no, it's a more condensed situation. What's weird is it's like England, the UK. You can go from town to town, and you're not going to, 3 hours is a pretty long ride, and you're in a totally different situation. I mean, it's just somehow more condensed, and it is easier to get around. It really is.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Record stores in the U.S. are kind of a dying breed. Luckily, around here in our hometown, we still got a couple of good ones that we can frequent. But over in Greece, what's one of the best record stores in Greece?
I live on an island somewhere, so I don't know. But in Athens, certainly, there's tons of vinyl. People are vinyl maniacs, and it's a lot like New York City used to be back in the 80s is what it really reminds me of.
Yeah. When I travel...
It's actually a kick-ass place, but don't move here, please.
Yeah. When I go on vacation there, we also searching out for like where we're going to go to eat or where we're going to go to the beach. And I'm like looking up, where's the record stores in this town?
Yeah. Well, you guys are weirdos, but yeah.
We are weirdos.
For the rest of us, yeah, there's plenty to do over here. And I think record stores are pretty established. The ones that are still around have been around for a long time. Germany has a lot of really cool ones.
Yeah.
You actually do shows in record stores in Europe.
Fantastic.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
and vinyls. We do really good vinyl business. So the vinyl's very solid over here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that will kind of lead to the next question. What took you to Greece? You're originally a U.S. citizen. What took you over to Greece to live and reside?
Well, I was in the UK. I mean, I've lived everywhere, dude. So, let's face it. But, I ran away from home, I think in 2006 or 7, right when the last Wall Street banker BS ripoff thing happened. So, and I was all over, and I ended up meeting a European girl, and that's who I've been with for 12 years now.
Awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
No, it's the way forward, let me tell you.
Hey. So, kind of another broad question for you. The state of rock and roll, obviously we know in the States that it's lacking quite a bit. And we're hoping that COVID-19, after the restrictions fall, people start feeling good about going to rock and roll shows again and maybe giving rock and roll a renaissance here in the States. But as far as you're concerned in your worldly travels and now living over in Greece, how do you feel the state of rock and roll is in where you're at?
For some reason, we are always being rockers. For some reason, ever since Cobain died, I think it was kind of where it started to end. I think we've been really fighting an uphill battle. I mean, we had rap and white rappers coming in, and then and all this, all of a sudden DJs. I mean, I was hoping that COVID-19 would really affect DJs only. That would have really helped out the rock scene. Yeah. Just a bunch of DJs on breathalyzer. I'm on breathalyzers. But can you imagine it? A guy with the mouse head thing and, just trying to breathe? That'd be cool. But, no, it's really... it's really tough to, figure out. It's just like jazz. When rock came in, jazz was pushed to the side, and you still have great jazz artists, and so, but it's just not the main thing. I mean, now you've got to, I don't know, put a headset mic on and twerk a bit. Like Axl.
There you go. In 2004, in 2004, you started releasing albums as Korey Clarke instead of Warrior Soul. 2004, Opium Hotel 1. 2010, Opium Hotel 2. 2014, Payback's a Bitch. And what was the methodology of dropping the Warrior Soul name and going to you as a solo artist instead?
Well, it allows me to go in a further, more insane direction than Warrior Soul, which is good and bad, I suppose. But it doesn't put any pressure on me to be rock. I can be sort of much more experimental, try different genres of music, etc., and not feel constrained to that sort of the rock thing. Not that Warrior Soul's that constrained to begin with, but it allows me to, it's like having a pen name or something where you can go off and do, So Chill Pill should have been a solo.
Well, do you feel like when you use Warrior Soul that maybe you kind of push yourself in a corner and, okay, this is what the fans expect. If I change things up too much, it's not going to work with my fans. How do you kind of decipher that? Because I know we all hear about artists that are trying to kind of go to a different direction and experiment a little bit. And, it's for some reason I don't understand. It's panned by critics. It's panned by some fans, but it seems like they want to be the voice of all fans. Yeah. But, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like when you're using Warrior Soul that you have to create a certain sound and you can't really experiment too much? How does that work for you?
Of course, when I'm doing Warrior Soul, I'm not, I don't think of doing, how do I explain this? I think it's easier just to explain it from the solo record perspective. I don't worry about sales as much when I'm doing a solo album. I'm just worried about doing really good stuff. And a lot of times it'll be material that I've worked on that never ended up on a Warrior Soul record, but I thought it was really good. And the reason it didn't end up on a Warrior Soul record is just for that reason, that it just didn't sound like it was Warrior Soul, or didn't fit the tone of the album. It just, some things just aren't Warrior Soul. I mean, not very many things, but there are some things that just aren't. And So that's kind of how it is. I worry more, obviously, about sales when it comes to Warrior Soul.
Yeah, very good. I guess when you say that, as far as when you're writing music and you say, hey, this is not a Warrior Soul sound, or this is not a Warrior Soul song. That being said, do you archive that stuff for your solo material, or what do you do with it?
Well, what I should do with it? No, I just you can have stuff laying around. Like sometimes I forget, because I play with a lot of different musicians, so sometimes I forget stuff that's on the computer, and I'll go, oh wow, that sounds good to me now. Because when I did it, I was like, oh, I'm poo-pooing it, like sounds like crap, or I think it sounds not so good, and then I play it back, and I'm like, oh no, that's pretty good. So things kind of come on, or I change it up a little bit, make it a little bit of a recycle. A lost and found project, I call it.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Good job.
Yeah. Are you working on anything now? Do you got what's your next plans? Are you doing working on a Warrior Soul, or working on a solo album next?
No, I was just thinking about taking it easy, going to the bar. No, of course I'm working on something. I mean, in today's environment, if you don't have albums coming out, I don't know what you're going to do to have any money, but I'm working on a new record right now, and Dennis Post on guitar, and Frank Myers has just brought me some riffs I'm taking a look at, and the guys in Chicago, Full Throttle, Adam Arling. Those guys are involved. I still have tracks that I recorded in November 2019 when I was over there, just before I got over here again. Still there. So I'm working on those. The hardest part of the whole thing is I've got melodies for everything, got everything. It's just hard to know what to say. Things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
My I Love Trump album is just going to have to wait right now. Till 2024.
Well, that outside of the Trump thing, that does bring up a good question, and we had James Lomenzo on a few weeks ago, and we kind of asked him, the preference of how artists are releasing new material now. You see artists releasing singles at a time. They're releasing them. They'll drop a single on the internet once every 4 weeks, or sometimes, if you might get lucky, some of them are doing just like the 5-song EP. It seems like the full-length album is starting to kind of lose its luster as far as something popular for the artist to do. Where you're at in your career right now, how do you feel about the releasing of a single at a time opposed to releasing a full album? How does it work for you?
Well, I mean, anything that draws attention, including, I don't know, playing nude in the polar bear cage at the zoo, every once a month, I don't know. But I think anything that draws attention to the band, like if the staggered singles release, that's an old concept, actually.
It is,
and I think it works for this. I mean, I'm always interested in a little bit of mystery, what are they going to come up with next or whatever. But usually I'm so broke, dude, I just got to put the album out and make some money. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to dribble a single out here and there. I mean, my bar tab's pretty severe.
But, you're so right when you say that the concept, it seems like, we're going in reverse as far as progression with music. Yeah. Right. Once again, the artists are releasing 45s instead of releasing the full album. Yes. It's just kind of curious to me. Is it more of an attention span with people now, as far as I really feel like Jeff and I are in the minority anymore when it comes to listening to albums. I put an album on to listen to the entire album. We have so many people now that are just looking for the one song or what have you. But do you kind of contribute that to the the people that just they don't have the focus anymore to listen into an album. Because when I put my stereo on, I put the vinyl on or I put a CD on, I stop the world and I listen to the entire album. Do you just kind of feel like that's a lost art for listeners these days? I think, if you like one or two of the songs, you're gonna want to sit and listen to the album. I mean, people's attention spans obviously are decreased to almost zero, like the prime lending rate to attention span. But these little gimmicks and stuff where you put one out and wait a month, put another one out. That's all cool, and that's maybe addressing the attention span thing. But I think what I made myself do on my last few records is I make the records around 40 minutes, 42, 38, 45, because those were my favorite record time lengths. Back in the mid 70s. Yeah. And, when CDs came out, we were like, oh, this is so awesome. We can put out like 70 minutes of material, right. I listen back to, records where I've got 12 songs on it, 11, 12 songs. And I'm going, oh, dude, I could have saved that for the next record. So a lot of times, especially for vinyl cutting, I like 4 songs aside and see you later, Well, that's a very simple plan that you have there. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
You brought up Chill Pill, and it's kind of ironic. Last night, as I was folding my son's laundry last night that he brought over to my house, I put on Chill Pill. And when you had mentioned that Chill Pill should have been a solo album, I did find myself as I was listening to Chill Pill thinking that, this is much different than the Warrior Soul sound that I know of from albums past and even albums forward. With that being said, can you give us a little story behind Chill Pill? Can you give us a little story behind it? And, what was it that made you keep the Warrior Soul name instead of moving on to Korey Clarke as a solo artist?
Well, Chill Pill was what I was envisioning it as kind of like a late night record that we might want to put on an independent label before we switched over to Elektra, which was always the game plan. Mm-hmm. Because I was so upset with the Geffen Company for not promoting my third album, which I produced, and they didn't like me producing it. So, and they never gave me an option of any other producer, so I don't know what they were talking about. I did get a call from Tom Zutaut the day I went into Electric Lady Studio in New York, and I had everything set up with the mix engineers, the tracking engineers, and I was head producer. And Tom Zutaut goes, "Hey, Korey, don't you want a producer?" I'm like, "I'm in the studio right now." I suppose I could have tracked the record and maybe had, Ron St. James or someone like that come up, or Bob Rock, maybe if they had the money to do that in 1992. I don't know if they did, but the thing was, where was I? Oh yes. So anyway, I decided that I wanted to get off of Geffen. So I said, I told my attorneys, look, and this is the second time I've tried to get off Geffen. And I said, look, man, you've got a contract here for $250,000. Why don't we just walk away and give me $70,000 and we'll just make it say goodbye. And I'll go over to Elektra and I'll, move on. And they said, no fucking way. So I go, okay, give me $225,000, and I made Chill Pill, which was sort of supposed to be an independent record. Which it's a great record, man. It's like a really cool record, but it's not something that would be, like heavy metal or whatever.
Well, you're totally right. It was you slowed things down just a bit on that album. It wasn't the Warrior Soul sound that we had heard before. It was right up in your face. With that being said, was there?
Oh, it's in your face.
It was
that record's got.
It is, but it wasn't as. What am I trying to say? Like you said, it wasn't heavy metal. It is in your face. That being said, was there just a conscious effort to evolve the sound on that album? Was that the goal? Would you say?
The goal was not, actually. I mean, technically, I did the whole record using SM57 mics. There's no Sennheisers or Neumanns or anything. And it's also, I think, the first ADAT album. We recorded on ADAT. Mm-hmm. And certainly the first major release with ADAT. And I did all the vocals with one track rather than double and triple tracking. So you weren't getting those harmonies and that really thick Warrior Soul vocal sound. So it was a departure, and it was very esoteric, kind of, a pretty trippy record, but also extremely aggressive. Songs like Ha Ha Ha, mm-hmm. That's serious crap. But, and the guitar sounds really badass. But, it was more, like I said, it was supposed to be a low budget, sort of in between record between major releases.
Very good. Yeah. I have one more question for you, because I know that we've kept you up for a long time here, and I don't know if you're going to go back to
That's
bed.
Okay. It's okay. It's not bothering me, seriously.
Fantastic. Well, when you wrote music for the Korey Clarke album, as opposed to writing for the Warrior Soul name, did your writing styles and recording styles change at all? I mean, as far as just as a whole, did we have some artists that try to go off on their own as far as breaking off and becoming a solo artist under their surname, and they try to become like a more organic sound, but in try to maybe write a little bit more organically. How did it work for you? Is there a big difference on the way that you write and record as Korey Clarke opposed to writing and recording under Warrior Soul? Well,
yeah, because when I record under Korey Clarke, I've got a way less budget. It's going to sound a lot more organic, and it has more of an acoustic feel, of course, jazz sort of feeling. If you compared, things, it has a more jazz openness to it, I suppose. But is the Opium Hotel records, which were. I worked on a first one for like a year. And that was right after 9/11, and I was in New York for that one. And I was working almost every night on it, and I finally just got to a point where I had all these CD reference mixes of stuff without vocals and in various forms, and I just put them all together and started doing spoken word over them in many things. A lot of them were from sessions maybe that I was in L.A., when I lived out in L.A. and stuff like that. It was just kind of around. It was just too different, like I said, for Warrior Soul. So, yeah, I mean, it's got a different sound than the big studio records,
Do you kind of have to get into that, okay, the mode of, all right, I'm writing under the Korey Clarke name opposed to, okay, now I have to get into Warrior Soul writing? Do you kind of have that on and off switch for both? Am I making sense?
Yeah. I just wanted to point out one thing. I mean, also, when I'm doing a Korey Clarke just solo record, I can use a lot of different musicians. I'm not, not stuck. That's a bad word to say. But, I'm not just with the guys in, the touring band, so to speak. But could you rephrase that question real quick for me?
Yeah, I guess maybe how I'm going to put the best way I can kind of phrase it for you is when you are writing music for I guess maybe this is probably the proper way of phrasing it. Do you have that on and off switch for yourself, saying, okay, it is time to do Warrior Soul writing and Warrior Soul writing only, and then do you have the off switch to say, okay, now I'm in Korey Clarke mode and Korey Clarke mode only when I'm writing? Is that kind of how you work things out?
I don't know. I mean, it gets mixed up, but yeah, no. I mean, when I get in the mood to just have that kind of poetic, darker space, that usually goes for the Korey Clarke album. And the more majestic, stuff goes more to the Warrior Soul thing. But, me playing drums too a lot on my solo records. I do a lot of that. So I do a lot of drumming on those records. So there is a conscious effort being made inside my unconscious mind to differentiate between Warrior Soul and the solo stuff.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, we have come to the end of our allotted time. Did we miss anything as far as anything that you wanted to promote or plug at all on episode part 1 of 2 when we get you back in May?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, no, I think you guys have covered some very interesting aspects of the band and me as an artist. My paintings are out. I've been doing some shows recently in Venice, Italy. Just did one, and that went pretty well. And I guess, and we've done very well with the last record's done really well. We got great reviews. We've had some strange reviews, but we had some really good ones. And there are a few guys reviewing records that live in their mom's basement, I'm afraid. I lie, Ted's Axe in the Head metal review. But, Mom, bring me another bologna sandwich.
Well, this is how it's going to work.
I drank some bong water, but, no, that's all really. I mean, that's all you got to talk about.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, so then what we're going to do is when we get you back on in May, we're going to save the art stuff, your paintings, for part 2, so we can go in more depth about that. And then so what we'd also thought about doing is possibly taking maybe a couple albums that you want to discuss from past Warrior Soul or Korey Clarke stuff, and we could kind of break the stuff down song by song, if that sounds good to you, maybe. And then maybe
I can tell you how it was written, where it was written.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Alzheimer's isn't kicking in too hard yet.
Well, this is how it's going to work. So we have quite a few episodes to release before yours, but we're going to look at maybe 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to get this one out. And then when we do so, obviously you're going to be the first one to get the link to your episode. And then
that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Share it to all your socials.
And you guys, it'd be really cool if you guys put the links up too to all the Warrior Soul and Korey Clarke medias. Social media.
Yes, we'll do all of that. It'll be on the Libsyn link that has your episode on it, and then
cool.
Then we're.
Oh, what about photos and stuff? I mean, do you guys have do I need to send pictures of me or anything?
Yeah, why don't you send us a picture so we can put it in the Libsyn link? Yeah. That'll be fantastic to do that, so that when people click on the Libsyn link, your picture will pop up for that. So that'll work out fantastic.
Let me take a look at that. I could probably get that over to you tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much, because you didn't have to do this at the wee hours of the morning. It's been
I watched the movie.
It was easier than I thought, because we slept in pretty good today, so it wasn't that big a deal.
Well, thank you. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, I asked you to come on the podcast via email, and you were all about it until I told you what time it was. You're like, oh, man, I can't do that. So that was about 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, back then, I probably had a drinking problem.
What happened?
No, I guess we just forgot to reschedule it or something.
Yeah, to be honest, Korey was on tour every 2 weeks. And like,
I was doing a lot of flying, so
Yeah.
like I was staying in one place and he was traveling, flying, and I couldn't, I couldn't really put him in one place at one time, and the different times.
What in the world would make you guys try to keep calling me? I'm such an idiot.
Well, here's the thing: and I'm a persistent bastard.
Yeah.
And so I take a no, and then I wait a year or so, and like, well, it's time for me to revisit this again. And Korey, I got to be really honest with you. In order to kind of get ahead of the other podcasts, is that when we discussed this way back at Christmas time, was we have to be a variety. Mm-hmm. And number one is that we want to be all across the board, and the only way you're going to do that is if you get unique artists. And Warrior Soul is unique. You're unique, and people are going to want to hear your story. And so I'll take no, and then I'll come back again and revisit again, and I'll take no again. And I think Greg Bissonette has told me no 3 times, but he told me on the 3rd time, he said, "Hey, don't give up. I'm going to say yes one of these times." So there you go.
I don't know. I think I just completely blanked it. I would have gotten back to you.
No, you were actually on the road.
Was I?
It was Jan that answered for you, huh? That's who. That's the culprit, huh?
Yeah.
Well, listen, man. I don't want to keep you guys any later than we have to.
Yeah.
You were fantastic. I want to thank you so much. And
no, that was fun. It was fun. You guys are great too. Great questions, great attitude.
I loved it.
Your voices are cool. You're not like,
yeah, and honestly, I tried to hide sometimes because it was really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, at some points, obviously not the real important questions.
Yeah, but no, it was good, and I'm looking forward to May. It'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're looking forward to it. And like I said, go ahead and email us one of your pictures so we can use it for the Libsyn link.
And we got the 2 songs yesterday, so we really appreciate that.
How did they sound, by the way, Jeff? Did you hear the sound cool?
Yeah.
Because I did a little bit of mastering on them because I think I took them from the original tracks. But anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you can use the higher resolution. That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
well, we can't wait till it release it. So, like I said, we got like 3 episodes to release before yours or whatever it is. So, like I said, when we do, you get it first. Then we'll put it up on our socials, and then, like I said, just share away, and we'll put all the links that you sent us into your in the Libsyn.
Okay.
And then it'll be all there for anybody that wants to investigate you any further. How about that?
Rocktastic.
All right, man. Hey, you go back to bed. Get a good night's sleep, all right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
All right, man. Have a good one. Take care. Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
what's wrong.